Here are their opponents. The over-under's at 10.5. Panthers, Texans, Colts, Rams, Steelers, Seahawks will be in Philadelphia. On the road, Cardinals, Bears, Jags, 49ers, and Titans. Brew over-under for Jalen Hurts' squad, 10.5.
I won't be shocked if they fall off.
Really?
I won't be shocked if they fall off. I think we'll see if Dallas can bounce back, but I would expect Washington to be better. I expect the Giants to be better. But I do I like Sean Mannion. I know they went through, 50 interviews before they picked their offensive coordinator. But Nick, he's from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. He's worked with a lot of Sean McVay, a lot of other great minds. So I think he could really give that offense a boost. We know the defense is going to be good. I firmly believe the defense is going to be great. The offensive line, can they jump back to being elite? I'm going to go with the over right now with a little bit of hesitation, but I'm going with the over.
KW, Brew's affinity towards Sean Mannion reminds me a lot about his affinity towards Javonte Williams.
Yeah.
Always there, but just quiet.
Had a great year.
Talk a lot about it, but
there.
Look at him now. Newly rich.
So, shout out. But I think this is a hammered under. I hate that they lost Jeff Stoutland. We're going to talk about it later. I believe they're going to lose A.J. Brown. It seems like they have real questions about, even though Lane Johnson seems like he's going to be coming back, a couple of their interior offensive linemen, what's their future because of injuries? Under Howie Roseman, the Eagles have had these periods of sustained excellence and then a disaster year back to excellence. 2012, 4 wins, and prior to that, really good. 2020, 4 wins. It feels like we're about due for a disaster year for Philadelphia. I'm not saying 4 wins, but we talked about how no team had gone back-to-back in the division in more than 20 seasons. I think if they go over, they would be 3 straight. That seems like an almost impossibility in the NFC East. I really like the under for Philadelphia.
Yeah, apparently it's an absolute impossibility for one of the most dominant franchises of the last 3 decades to accomplish that. That's a fascinating narrative. The Washington Commanders are going to take a leap forward. The New York Giants are going to be improved. Every single team in the league is apparently poised for ascension, except for the Philadelphia Eagles. The one team that has actually, let me check my notes here, proven their ability to be better. Oh, okay, got it. I understand now. Interesting. I'm always trying to figure out the unwritten rules when it comes to discussing the Philadelphia Eagles, because I genuinely don't know them anymore. I just simply don't understand the guidelines. Listen, I try not to get overly fixated on the over-under number itself. I need to emphasize this point constantly because the actual win total means very little to me in a vacuum. What matters is that it serves as a reference point, a thermometer for how the national media genuinely feels about a particular team. And it's crystal clear that Nick does not believe the Eagles are going to be any good this season. He's reaching back into the archives, evoking 2012 right now. What happened in 2012? Okay, sure. Then he brings up 2020, and it's like, okay, sure. I mean, sure. There's no logical reason why this defense wouldn't be elite. I don't see any justification for expecting them to regress. If anything, they should be even better. And then there's the offense. I want to be absolutely crystal clear about this, because I feel like I've articulated this point multiple times before, but I need to emphasize it as strongly as possible right now. I firmly believe that as long as the offensive line is simply competent, top 15 in the NFL, right? Just average or slightly above average. It doesn't need to be historically dominant. It just can't be a glaring weakness. As long as we're not in a situation where Saquon Barkley is getting met in the backfield on every single carry, where they're constantly facing 2nd and long and 3rd and long situations. Basically the opposite of what we witnessed this past season. As long as that offensive line is even remotely competent and consistent week to week, I strongly, strongly believe that Jalen Hurts and Kevin Patullo and this Philadelphia Eagles offense are going to explode. I think we are finally going to witness an offense that actually makes sense, an offense that has a genuine identity, an offense that actually has a personality, an offense where you can actually feel the rhythm, the flow, the underlying philosophy driving every play call. It will finally have a coherent structure, and I am genuinely excited to see that unfold. This will really be the first time that such an emphasis has been significantly placed on offensive evolution, with Jalen Hurts leading this unit. They haven't really had this opportunity before because they kept cycling through coordinators, and you're also dealing with the context of a younger quarterback during their best coordinator stint. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now. I've said it a million times. Shane Steichen. When he was there, Jalen Hurts was still new to the scene for the most part, essentially still developing. It was just about maximizing whatever worked in the moment, not necessarily about long-term growth and evolution. Then with Kellen Moore, the reality was that the defense was dominant, and the run game was unstoppable. There didn't need to be a lot of offensive evolution. They could just rely on Jalen Hurts being Jalen Hurts, which he proved throughout that season and especially in the playoffs. And Kellen Moore did a beautiful job with all of that. He understood the assignment at the highest possible level, and it was great. But there was no unlocking. There was no evolution with Jalen. There was no taking the next step as a passer and as a leader of a sophisticated offensive system. I do believe that is now the emphasis. That is the primary focus. It's going to be all about improvement and growth. And when you consider Jalen and the Eagles' success in seasons past, where there was essentially no emphasis on that kind of development because they either had to right the ship mid-season or it was just year 1.5 of a new system where they just had to hit the ground running. Now you actually have the emphasis on genuine growth. And I wholeheartedly believe that Kevin Patullo can facilitate that. I love his resume. I love his background. I love what he brings to the table. And that's why I'm putting it out there. As long as the offensive line allows for that growth, right? As long as it's just competent enough and they're not spending every week just trying to keep their heads above water and survive, I do believe there will be a concrete, measurable step forward for this offense. That's what I genuinely believe. But hey, listen, Nick is taking the under, which means he's probably projecting the Eagles to finish 3rd or 4th in the division. It's going to be interesting. 3rd or 4th. He can't help himself. He does that a lot. And that's perfect because every time he does that, the last time he had them finishing 4th, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So, I don't know. So far, I think we're actually on a good off-season trend right now. We're actually building a positive pattern here. I'm excited. He wants to talk about 2012 and 2020 and all these historical examples. It's like, all right, let's talk about 2024. You know, the whole narrative. It's going to collapse. It's going to collapse. They're due for a terrible year. 2023, they had that supernatural funk for the last 5 weeks. They were the worst team in the NFL. Nick Wright's exact words. And that was supposed to continue into 2024. By Thanksgiving, Nick Sirianni was supposed to be fired. This team was supposedly imploding. They imploded their way right to a Super Bowl victory. So, I'm just saying I'm seeing some similarities here. I'm noticing some patterns. If we want to evoke the past, let's evoke the past. If you want to throw 50 yards, then give them 50 yards worth of rope. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles over-under set at 10.5? Do you think they are going to take that promised backward step that we have been told is inevitable? According to the narrative, it's just going to happen. It's going to happen. Nick even said in his Ravens take that if you just keep doubting someone, you'll eventually be right. And that's what I always say. That's why every time you say a team is not going to win a Super Bowl, I'm like, yeah, if you keep saying that, you'll eventually be right, and you'll more likely be right than wrong because only one team wins a Super Bowl. It's a very easy take to make. Yet here we are with the Philadelphia Eagles, always the subject of doubt, always the team being questioned. Interesting how that works. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get some discussions going. Let's get into some debates, but ultimately, let's just have some fun with it. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love seeing you be a part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.